Have you been thinking about buying a vacation rental in the Palm Springs area, but you just don't know where to get started? Well, I got you covered. In this video, I will tell you where are the hot areas to buy, how to determine your cash flow, and what rental restrictions that you need to know about, and just so much more. Stay tuned to the end because I'm going to share with you the next up-and-coming city for short-term rentals. It's going to be good. My name is Tommy, and I'm your Palm Springs area real estate agent. Now, the first thing you need to know about is that Palm Springs does have a limit annually for guest stays. So you can rent out your home for 32 guest stays per calendar year, but they do also allow you an additional 4 guest stays during the months of July, August, and September. So Palm Springs, they passed this rule because a lot of people were starting to rent their homes out nightly, and some of these communities turned into mini motels. It wasn't good. So now it's more balanced with some guests staying a week, a month, or only a couple of nights for the peak season rental periods. This leads me to the next question I frequently get. Should I buy a long-term rental property or a short-term rental property? So with long-term rentals, you'll make less, but it's also less work. Short-term rentals, you'll make more, but it takes more work. See, nothing comes free in life, right? So except these videos actually. So if you want to learn more about the Palm Springs area on a weekly basis, make sure to subscribe right down below with the bell on to be notified whenever I post, and hit like so more people like yourself could learn about the Palm Springs area. Back to our video. What you need to know is that rents do fluctuate a lot. That's why owning a short-term rental in the Palm Springs area will give you a better return on your investment just overall. By the way, a short-term rental is anything that's usually less than 29 or 28 days. And, you know, every city is sort of different with this, but that's just generally the rule of thumb. So short-term rentals, they allow you to take advantage of the different seasons our valley has. Now, this is important for you to remember. December through April is the peak season. And during this time, the Coachella Valley is flooded with people all over the world that are coming to enjoy the beautiful, perfect sunny weather. And there's just not really enough adjectives I can describe the winter climate that we have here. It's just perfect. Here's an example of how rental rates can fluctuate. So this article here shows that this man made $12,000 this year renting out his home during Coachella Music Festival, and his home was rented out for only 8 days. He said in this article, his average nightly rental rates are usually around $180 per night, but during Coachella, it goes through the roof. So just for Coachella alone, he made 7 times his nightly rent during those 8 days. So that's how widely rents can fluctuate. And by the way, this gentleman here had a $580,000 house, and he made $12,000 in 8 days. And also, there's Stagecoach Music Festival right after this weekend. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up making 18, 19, 20 grand just for these 2 festivals. And these are just 2 events we have during the year. Now, a common question I get is, doesn't the desert slow down in the summertime? I mean, are people even renting when it's 115 degrees outside like this past weekend we had? Well, I have good news for you. The desert doesn't really slow down anymore. I mean, even in the summertime, people are renting all year long, and there are events happening in the summer. So there are big events like the Splash House, which is a summer music festival. It's poolside for multiple days. Just lots of crazy shenanigans happens there. We have major casinos like Agua Caliente, Spotlight, Fantasy Springs Casino, and a few more casinos that have events all summer long, like different music artists coming through or comedians that people drive from all over. And a lot of people, they don't want to stay at a hotel. They want to stay at an Airbnb or VRBO because they want that personal home feel. And if you have a vacation rental right around these times in summer, you're going to be getting booked a lot. The next exciting thing that you need to know is that the hot cities to buy right now in the Palm Springs area are Palm Springs, Indio, and Bermuda Dunes. See, all the other cities right now, they have rental restrictions in place or have banned short-term rentals completely, like Cathedral City. Cathedral City. La Quinta also, they've stopped issuing short-term rental permits, and they're thinking about banning short-term rentals altogether in residential neighborhoods in 2024. So here's why Palm Springs, Indio, and Bermuda Dunes are the hotspots for purchasing a short-term rental. You could see Bermuda Dunes right here on the map. So Bermuda Dunes is an unincorporated city in Riverside County. So what that means is Bermuda Dunes follows the guidelines of Riverside County. So because of that, most likely, they're going to be able to do short-term rentals for a long time coming. They just don't have sort of the oversight that some of these other cities do. And you could see Bermuda Dunes, I mean, man, it's right here by Palm Desert, Indian Wells, Indio over here, La Quinta, I mean, right by the freeway. It's pretty centrally located. That's why it's one of just the hot cities right now to buy short-term rental. Palm Springs over here, that's just one of the classic short-term rental destinations, places to own an investment property. I mean, you have the airport here that's just adding more flights each and every year, direct flights across the country. I mean, it's blowing up right now. People love being able to come from Washington, Oregon, and just hop off a plane and land in Palm Springs at their VRBO. Now, Palm Springs has done a lot more restrictions and stuff for short-term rentals, but it's been a positive thing because of the people who live here year-round. It's starting to feel like more communities and less motels, like I mentioned earlier in this video. They make it a little stricter, so no music late at night or you get fined and just different things, but I think it's a good thing because it's going to allow the cash cow short-term rental train to keep going. The city of Indio is just right over here, and they're also welcoming short-term rentals with arms open wide, and I'm going to get more into that at the end of this video. And by the way, if you're just looking to buy a vacation rental in the Palm Springs area or even relocate here, my contact information is below. I would love to help you. I'm seriously helping people every single day from this channel, and it's an honor. And I want to let you know that below as well, I have the city of Indio, Palm Springs, and Bermuda Dunes websites regarding short-term rentals, so you could get more in-depth information on the short-term rental guidelines. And I did the research for you with finding these websites because it could really just be a pain. Now, the next thing you're going to want to know is, what are the occupancy rates like for rental properties in the area? Now, what are the nightly rates people are actually getting, and what will your overall revenue look like? Well, I have a few really great websites that have data and analytics to show you all this critical information when buying a vacation rental in the Palm Springs area. AirDNA is one of the most popular websites that I've heard a lot of my clients use in the past. What I like about it is right here, boom, average daily rate, $504. Occupancy rate, 71%. It even shows you September occupancy rate to March. It shows you revenue, 4,500 active rentals, entire home, private rooms, and honestly, a lot of these tools you do have to pay for $20, $30, $50 a month. It really just varies. But if you're looking to spend $500,000, $800,000, $1 million to buy a vacation rental in the Palm Springs area, whip out that credit card because it's worth it. It's worth paying the money to get this kind of analytics and data to help you just make the best investment. Just down below, I'll give you websites just for all the different tools that you could use. And I just think you should just check them out, see which ones you like the best. Now, the next common question I get is, what are the best management companies for short-term rentals? So we have so many out here, so it's hard to choose from, but I'll recommend you a few, and I recommend that you just interview them, see who has the best customer service and support, and typically they could take anywhere from, let's say, 10% to 20% of your gross rental income, depending on the services they provide. So, for example, a turnkey service that manages your bookings, greets the guest, has a maid service, cleans the house, and anything else that's needed, that will usually be on like the higher side, near 20%. But if you do most of the things yourself, you could pay a lot less. So it really depends on your situation and your circumstances. So having a great manager sometimes, I mean, it could really mean all the difference because they understand the seasonal changes in rents and they could price your house accordingly to when there's more demand in town. Also, a good management company can give you tips on how to increase your overall revenue with things like decor and marketing materials for VRBO or Airbnb. And some Some management companies, these are just a few: Vacasa, Acme House, Orange Palm Vacation Homes, and Catalina Island Vacation Rentals. They just merged. That's a big name. McLean, Ryson, and so many others. Now the links are all down below for you to check out conveniently. Another common question I receive is that should you buy a condo or a single family detached home? What will give you a better return on your investment? So there's a lot of different things that you need to consider. First, can you afford a detached home in the city you are looking at? So prices have gone up a lot, specifically in Palm Springs. And also, a single family detached home will have higher ongoing maintenance costs versus a condo. Now, with that being said, most condos or townhomes, they do have their costs, such as monthly HOA dues, and many HOAs have short-term rental restrictions. So for a condo townhome, it's pretty normal to spend $300 to $500 a month for an HOA, just depending on the amenities that HOA offers. But condos are also, they're easier to manage compared to a single family detached home. And then you have the other side of the coin that single family detached homes usually go up more in value over the years than condos do. So I don't think either would be a bad option. I think you should check what your budget is, see what you could really afford, and then use one of the companies that I provided for rental analytics and see what kind of money you can make owning a detached home or an attached home. Now, if you stuck around, for one, thank you. And secondly, I'm going to tell you the city that I believe will have the most potential growth for a rental property in the next 5 to 10 years. And drumroll, please. That's Indio, California. Now, Indio is still a great price point where it's affordable to buy a detached home. I mean, the average detached home in Indio is like $600,000, and that's affordable compared to Palm Springs at $1.4 million, and Bermuda Dunes is more $800,000 to $900,000. So not only that, but more importantly, the city is very pro short-term rentals. So La Quinta, the neighboring city, was sort of a hot spot for short-term rentals, but they put a ban on issuing more permits, except if you're in a few like special areas, and they're actually thinking about banning even the special areas by 2024. So what's happening is a lot of investors are flocking from La Quinta and going into Indio, and same with Palm Desert and some of these other cities. There's just not a lot of options in the Palm Springs area to buy short-term rental. So you're most likely looking at Palm Springs, Indio, or Bermuda Dunes. So here are a few things I like about Indio in particular. Okay, you can see Indio right here on the map. So Indio, it's conveniently located to Empire Polo Fields, right by the music festivals. Let's zoom in here. You could see La Quinta's right here. There's so much shopping and dining. Indian Wells is literally right here, and they have the tennis gardens, the tennis tournament, and I mean, that's spectacular. That's a 2-week world-class event. Palm Desert in El Paseo right over here, the Westfield Mall. I mean, you have a lot of things right at your fingertips being in Indio. And another thing that's important to mention is Indio, I feel like, has a lot of potential to grow as a city. See, Palm Desert, La Quinta, Rancho Mirage, a lot of these other cities, they're more built out. They have nice shopping centers, and they've been around longer. I mean, in a sense, they haven't really, but just with time to be able to grow with more people moving in. Indio is starting to become a lot nicer. New developments are going in Indio. All the investors are flocking there. There's just going to be newer shopping centers. So I think just property-wise, just appreciating in value if you buy a home there. I think a home's going to appreciate more in value than Indio compared to the other cities. And I'll tell you another reason why. So let's go back to the map actually here. If you look right here in the Palm Springs area, you have Desert Hot Springs, you have Cathedral City, and you have Bermuda Dunes and Indio. So what's happened is people want to live in Palm Springs, right? They want to buy a home, a vacation rental in Palm Springs, but they can't afford it. So they're going into Desert Hot Springs, or they're going into Cathedral City. That's why these cities are experiencing such massive growth. Same thing with Indio. La Quinta is now $1 million for a detached home when you could actually, find a detached home in Indio for $500,000. Bermuda Dunes is like $800,000-$900,000. But so what's happening is people are going into these more affordable cities, and they're appreciating more than even the established cities. So I think if you buy in Indio, your home's going to go up in value, and then also corresponding with that, your rent's going to go up in value. So it's just all around an up and coming city that you should check out. And if you're thinking about moving here to the Palm Springs area, like I mentioned, my contact information is below. Make sure to like and subscribe for weekly awesome videos, and thank you so much for watching.